Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack making backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews how I vanished. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the bay.
This is one of the places where violence erupted in the Grays Ferry neighborhood, ultimately taking the life of a teenager last year.
This one occurrence speaks to the level of entrenched generational crime this neighborhood experiences.
A teenager shot in the head inside a Chinese restaurant in South Philadelphia. He was among several people inside that business when a gunman opened fire last night. NBC 10's Miguel Martinez-Valle has the story.
He trying to press against the door so they wouldn't come in, and they just shot through the window.
Ruby Foster is angry. Angry another teen was shot on her street. Angry Twin Dragon, the restaurant where it happened, opened hours after the shooting. But most of all, angry those working in the store didn't do more to protect the 17-year-old she knows as Na.
The boy begged and asked her to pull the thing down. Save my life. They coming to kill me. They coming after me. She said no to this boy.
Foster told me her 2 teen nephews were inside the takeout place when the shots were fired. She thanks God they're alive, but said they won't be going back.
This got to stop. Not the first time I experienced this at this store. This is not the first time that someone got killed and asked this store to bring it down.
Mustafa showed up to the crime scene minutes after the shooting. He also knows the victim. They grew up in this Grays Ferry neighborhood.
He's like a good kid. Like, he don't go around starting trouble or nothing. He just he stay to himself. He come here once in a while to a Chinese store.
He doesn't blame the takeout spot. He said there should have been more cops.
I don't never see no cops out here. And last month, all these people just got shot. It was like 4 shootings.
My heart goes out to the boy's family. I pray hard for him.
This is Miguel Martinez-Valle.
Yeah, by the way, we did try to speak with the store managers, even asked to see surveillance video that police have been looking at, but they denied.
Jacqueline and Jim, the Attorney General, said they believe they got the core leadership of these 2 rival groups. The charges against them include murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy. All of these arrests, an attempt to stem the violence. This is one of the places where violence erupted in the Grays Ferry neighborhood, ultimately taking the life of a teenager last year.
This one occurrence speaks to the level of entrenched generational crime this neighborhood experiences.
Authorities say that shooting and one that followed were part of a pattern of retaliatory violence between 2 rival groups known as 27th Street and 31st Street. Today, law enforcement arrested 8 people.
We are all safer because they are in custody.
The roundup announced today by Pennsylvania's Attorney General as part of a gun violence task force that includes his office along with Philadelphia Police and the District Attorney's Office. They worked here out of the Delaware Valley Operations Center, and the operation also recovered 5 guns, including one believed to be what DA Larry Krasner called an 80% gun that can be bought in pieces.
It's only a violation of state law when the pieces are put together and you have an operable weapon. This is ridiculous. We cannot have a world where people with criminal records can buy all the parts of a gun and have no background check, can take it home, can assemble it with very, very minor modifications and use it.
Krasner wants laws changed to prevent that. Police say today's operation makes the Grays Ferry neighborhood safer, but they still have more work to do and are knocking on doors with a message.
1, we do care about you, but 2, the fact that we know about you and that you're likely to be involved as a potential shooter or victim.
Commissioner Ross says they want to make sure others don't fill the gaps left by those taken off the streets.
We are very much aware of the fact that we have to be present.
And officials today said social media has played a role in this violence, from posts that made someone feel disrespected to a scheme online where people lured others to a specific location. Now, police say this is something that they are concerned about and trying to stay ahead of. Live at Philadelphia Police Headquarters, I'm Lauren Make, NBC 10 News.
Up in South Philadelphia, the question is how do you make it stop? Police are cracking down after a string of shootings in the area. 8 members of 2 gangs are tonight off the streets in South Philadelphia. Police are cracking down after a string of shootings in the area. City leaders and police say this has got to stop. Our Jeff Cole is live in South Philadelphia. The question is, how do you make it stop? Jeff?
It's absolutely a very good question, Lucy. Look, some of the region's top law enforcement leaders spoke directly to the citizens of Philadelphia today, saying they understand the violence that is wrecking their neighborhoods and believe they made a dent in it today, with the understanding that much more needs to be done. Agents with the Office of Pennsylvania's Attorney General and Philadelphia's police hit the streets of the city's Grays Ferry neighborhood early this morning. Their target, members of the 27th and 31st Street gangs responsible for an explosion of gun violence, say investigators, from 2017 to early last year.
The violence between these groups, listen to this, accounted for 43 shooting incidents. 35 people were shot and injured, including a 12-year-old boy and a 59-year-old woman.
Investigators were focused in part on 2 shootings. On December 19th, killing inside a Chinese restaurant in Grays Ferry of a young victim, Nasir Livingston, and a tit-for-tat shooting in North Philly later that same month in 2017. Arrested Wednesday, 8 members of the 2 gangs, says the Attorney General, with 5 handguns pulled off the streets.
We're talking about a group of individuals that wreaked havoc on more than one neighborhood, and as a result, instilled fear in many across the city. Sadly, it is indicative of what we see on a daily basis.
Shapiro, City DA Larry Krasner and Police Commissioner Ross say the arrests are the work of their gun violence task force, focused on taking crime guns off the street and tracking them. The Attorney General reports the task force recovered 184 weapons last year, but the district attorney focused on what he calls an 80% gun, plastic, bought in pieces legally at gun shows and put together later, sometimes with deadly results.
This is a gap in our laws, and it happened in this case. And it's a very serious matter that we all need to look at in terms of the type of legislation that would stop this from being a problem.
Now, Attorney General Shapiro says he believes the leadership of these 2 gangs have taken a hit in these arrests. The city's police commissioner, Ross, says his officers now must be aware of anyone and other groups looking to take their place. Live in South Philly, I'm Jeff Cole, Fox 29 News. Lucy.
All right.
Yo, we back. It's your ace Popalot. Mob ties. We on our way to Pennsylvania with it. Philadelphia to be exact. South Philly. All my guys from South Philly, y'all get in the comment box. But especially if you hip to what's going on in Grays Ferry, we definitely need y'all down there. Now, in the history, to try to get to the bottom of what the Inquirer calls a gang war that is consuming a generation of youth, I'm going to try to do something different and something that I've never done before. And exactly what I mean by that is I'm going to profile 2 people that were allegedly on opposite sides of that war, with those people being Mujihad Deen, who would allegedly be involved in a murder that authorities would use to start an indictment to take down several people from both gangs, as well as an up-and-coming rapper from South Philly by the name of Khalil Ali Simmons, who also went by the name of King Lord, who was said to be a force for the guys on the opposite side on 27th Street. Now, with authorities and the media describing this as a decade-long gang war, I severely doubt that we'll be able to get to the beginning of this or what started it. But what I do know is with wars that go on that long, people become entrenched in it. And by that, I mean, as wars go on, people usually become casualties. And that happens on both sides. And once people start losing their dads, their brothers, their uncles, and their cousins, as it goes on, people usually will fight and go harder as it gives you a sense or a reason to be at war. And I'm definitely thinking that's the case between these two rival sides, as authorities would say that they were responsible for 43 shooting incidents in a 13-month period from January 2017 through February 2018. But as the media describes, that will only be a battle within the war. Now, we're going to start a little bit before that 13-month period where authorities said that battle would start. And that would be on December 19th, 2017, where a 17-year-old South Philadelphia high school student by the name of Nasir Livingston, who are also seen referenced as Little Na online, would be shot and killed at a Chinese restaurant on 27th and Dickinson Street. It would be just about 2 years and after about 36 shooting incidents where authorities would arrest 2 people as well as 6 others in a massive gang takedown of people that authorities would allege would be responsible for that violence, with those people being Khalil Harrison as well as Mujihad Deen, who was actually the son of State Property's own Oskino Vasquez, who reached a high level of fame with other MCs from Philly when they linked up with Jay-Z and Rockefeller. And it would be those 2 that authorities would allege that would be responsible for that killing on December 19th, 2017 of 17-year-old Nasir Livingston, who had either resided or allied with the 27th Street side. Now, the media would almost describe this part of South Philly as a killing zone or open shooting field. And when you think about it, 27th Street, 31st Street, that's like the series of 4 blocks. You would also hear the streets Tasker and Dickinson, where that murder would occur in 2017. And just researching it, I seemingly envision a cutoff line where if you cross it, you could be killed, with the example of Nasir Livingston. Now, after a takedown involving people that authorities would say was responsible for 43 shootings in the area, you would think that that would pretty much halt the gang war. But like I said, the Inquirer would go on to describe it as a decade-long gang war, and it seemingly traveled out of the range of those 4 blocks. And that's where we have the story of Khalil Ali Simmons, or King Lord, who was actually an up-and-coming rapper from Philly who did a lengthy prison sentence for a violent crime, who had happened to be allied with the opposite side of Mujihad Deen in 31st Street, who would actually receive a 20-year sentence after an indictment was handed down surrounding those 43 shootings between 2017 and 2018. Now, King Lord, who would go on to amass hundreds of thousands of views on several of his music videos on YouTube, Trauma and Demon's Prey being 2 of them, was rumored to use his music and his notoriety as weapons against the opposition, as authorities allege social media took a big part in this war, as in a lot of the wars we see going on in the inner cities. Now, the thing about fame and success is it works 2 ways. So depending on how you use it, you can possibly become a target. And based on media reports I read online, King Lord would become just that, as CBS News Philadelphia would report that the 27-year-old would be shot in the neck and killed in the early days of January 2020. Now, the thing that makes his murder different from the supposed gang war was it occurred on the 2600 block of West Cumberland Street. Now, I'm not quite sure how close that is to the feuding proximity, but I read in some media outlets where he was essentially stalked, as the murder would occur midday at about 6 p.m. Now, with somebody like King Lord, who had a reputation for being in the streets and spoke on violence in his music, you really never know what that murder had anything to do with. But with him being involved in that clashing war between 27th and 31st Street, You could never rule it out. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, POP_A_LOT. Y'all make sure y'all get in the comment box. Y'all let me know what I got wrong. Y'all let me know what's going on in Grays Ferry right now. Is it died down? If y'all could, let me know how long this shit go back, because I know people lost family members, friends, associates, all type of shit over this. Definitely, y'all hit the comment box. Let me know what I got wrong, where we need to go to next, what stories we missed, what gangsters we need to cover, what's going on in the neighborhoods around the nation. And we going to be right here talking about it and breaking it down. Y'all hit the red subscribe button right under this video so y'all know when this real trill spill shit is dropping. And I'm going to be back with more ASAP. You know, shit got Popalot. Mob Gang.